time now to review the top stories that have made headlines across, we're reviewing newspapers rather. We're reviewing headlines in today's newspapers with the Ombudsman of this day and Arise Media Group, Mr. Kaide Komalafe. Thank you for joining us again this beautiful Sunday.
Good morning, Adisa.
Good morning,
KK.
Good morning, Steve. Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into it. We'll start, as always, with this day on Sunday, the newspaper of record. Let's kickstart it with the lead story itself, because it concerns the president. And the headline says, Tinubu receives Taraba Governor Kefas into APC, says governors are party leaders. I think there are two important things to read to this headline. One is the fact that, another one, as the come inside, everybody come inside. Another governor has joined the trail, from Taraba. Our governor, Agbo Kefas, has now been accepted into the APC directly by the president. And then the president said probably what many people have been saying, that maybe that is the position of the president, that governors are 001 in their respective states, that they are party leaders. People have been saying that by the president saying this, is it in a way also reaffirming what some party members and leaders of the APC have said regarding what is happening in Rivers State. But this is about Taraba, and the president says, yes, you are welcome on board, and we do accept that governors are party leaders. How many governors are left outside at this one, by the way?
I think 6 with this one now.
About six,
5
yeah.
or 6.
Should be? Yeah, should be about 6. 1 APGA, 1 Accord, 1 Labour, 3 PDP.
3 PDP.
I guess, so 4.
Zamfara, Oyo.
Bauchi. Adamawa should still be there.
Yeah,
so that should be 4.
I guess you might consider him not very much in there anymore.
All right, so that's the president, welcoming Kefas there. A few more stories, and I think an important one, we should jump to the window story. Oyedele is still speaking, and it says individuals must file tax returns by January 21st, that's for employers, and by March 31st, respectively. Says power of substitution in tax law is not new. I'm not so sure, KK, why it is still the gentleman who is done with the assignment that he was giving that is still making this explanation and making announcement. The president has appointed the man who will execute, the tax laws. And that's Mr. Joseph Tegbe, who many people believe, is more than qualified to do the job. And in any case, you also have a more than qualified chairman of the Nigerian Revenue Service, the Zacchaeus himself, those that some people would jocularly call the Agbowode of Nigeria. Doctor.
What does that mean?
Oh, well, I mean, that's from tax collector.
I see.
Basically tax.
Mr. Zakadedeji.
Some other people, somebody joked, somewhere outside of Lagos to me recently, they call their own taxman Agbowopa, somebody who collects taxes by force. So my point really is that Oyedele is still the one, making all this point. I think that those who have been assigned to do the job, and I saw the brilliant interview, that our own Dr. Bati had with Dr. Zach Adedeji on how these things will pan out. I think they should be the ones speaking by now, Zach himself, and of course, Joseph Tegbe. They have a job to do. If there's another assignment for Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, maybe the president can consider it. But for now, I think he's done with what he needed to do, and let's hear less of him, in my opinion. But those are important issues that he raised. By January 31st, which was yesterday, companies must have filed their returns, and by 31st of March, individuals, you and I, should also file our tax returns.
Yes.
And of course, it says that power of substitution in tax law is not new. I believe that it's addressing what the Lagos State LRS is talking about in terms of we can, deep hand somehow into your account and and do the needful.
Yes, and just before we go to KK, I think also just above the masthead, there's something we spoke about yesterday.
About ADC?
No, delays in passage of the electoral bill in 2025 will undermine the credibility of the 2027 election.
That's the ADC saying so.
Yes.
That's the ADC saying
That's
so.
the ADC
I'm sure that
so.
KK will probably have something to say about that. Everybody was looking forward to the passage of that thing. We discussed it extensively yesterday, but it's coming, as people will say. That's where Nigerians have been consigned to. We'll see what happens to that. One more story: IMF ranks Nigeria among 10 top contributors to global GDP growth. That's not. I think even Elon Musk, I believe, responded to that on X. Because that's such a big deal. For Nigeria, it's not always all gloom. There are good stories to at least acknowledge, even if some people are reluctant to celebrate. Governor Yusuf also debunks alleged plan to dethrone Emir Sanusi, says defection will not change status quo. But then what is the status quo? There are 2 emirs in Kano. What do we do about that? KK, over to you, but then you notice, of course, that the 2 pictures there about celebrating the death. The Ojora family, for the top picture, and the former deputy governor of Bayelsa, who is also been celebrated. Those are the stories and beautiful pictures, KK.
You're right. I think we should start on the note of condolences to the Ojora family, of Lagos, and also the family of the late deputy governor of Bayelsa State, Mr. Lawrence Japo.
Yes.
The souls of the departed, rest in peace. Yeah. Now, we take the lead story of this thing first, as I imagine that you prefer Steve, the political story. I think really, like every other party, APC has the right to set its own rules. I mean, it's all, for me, the question of who is the leader of the party in the state, who is not the party, is an internal party matter, So I think the president, represented by the vice president in Taraba, was just restating what their party rule is, and like I said, maybe the good thing about it is that maybe it's for clarification, because either two, you have had, maybe perhaps, conflicting statements from party members, or maybe people who are not even party members. But it is good now that the president, as the leader of the party, because that is the way they do it in APC, now say that just as the president is the leader of the party at the national level, that the governors are leaders of the party in their respective states. So I think there's not much, to be done. I mean, there's not much, to be said about that. At this, is the internal.
It's very clear, actually.
Is the internal party matter. The other story, which I think is also important, is the point. I mean, it just reinforced the point you made, about the statement by Mr. Oyedele. I guess. Maybe in the reportage, maybe Mr. Oyedele is, as a person who is informed, in task matters, as he has demonstrated, discharging this responsibility of in heading the committee for the tax reforms, just expressing his opinion, because it's quite clear that the job of management, of revenue collection is the job of the Nigerian Revenue Service, and also the specific matter of the implementation, of the new tax law. The president has also given that task to Mr. Tegwe. I don't think there's any confusion in it. So, my reading is that Mr. Oyedele is expressing his view as somebody who is informed, on the matters, and expert in which any other person could possibly do. Yes, Adesua, on the question of electoral law, signing it because of it's a matter of time, it's time bound. That if it is not done before a certain time, then it might not be applicable, for the 2027 election.
So, because of time, I want to quickly do this day style. If we can just get this day style up here, but we'll go back to that shortly. On the cover of this day style, Fela, a lifetime Grammy. For nearly 3 decades after his death, Fela Anikulapo Kuti existed in a peculiar space, immortal in influence, inconvenient to institutions, too radical to be neatly archived, too alive to be reduced to nostalgia. His music never stopped circulating on vinyl, in clubs, in protest playlists, in the DNA of modern African sound. But official recognition lagged behind the truth. So when news broke that Fela would receive a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award from the Recording Academy, it landed less like a celebration and more like a reckoning. Not a coronation, his crown was never in doubt, but an overdue glance backward from a global industry that once struggled to meet him where he stood. This moment feels significant, not because Fela needed it, but because the world did. A beautiful editor's note there in fantastic one in this day style. There's a tribute to Fela, and there's a lot of beautiful pieces in this day style this Sunday, and I hope people check it out, particularly this nod to Fela and his lasting legacy on the world.
Thank you so much, Adisha, for bringing that up because of the limited time. Again, it's a great one from this day style. I think I'll not be tired of commending the editors of this style for the topicality, because this is the season. Yes. I think the Grammy Award for Lifetime Achievement for Fela is actually a tribute to the social relevance of art. That is art with social relevance, And for the generation that may not know much about Fela, that perhaps it's important to state this, that perhaps you may not be able to really comprehend the Fela phenomenon by just exchanging insults on Facebook or tweets. The Fela story cannot be captured in a few words on stage. So I would like to recommend, for that generation, a definitive work on Fela by the late Professor Tejumo Olaniyan. The title of the book is Arrest the Music, Fela and his Rebel Art and Politics.
Arrest the music.
Arrest the music.
Okay.
Fela and his Rebel Art and Politics. So it's a very rigorous, written in very lively language, but also a very rigorous, study of Fela bringing out with a lot of references. In fact, the annotation and the bibliography alone, is a whole gamut, of information. Absolutely. And the point, that Professor Tejumo Olaniyan, a blessed memory, is trying to make is that, that intersection, between art, and social relevance. That is that the artist, yes, you can entertain, but at the same time you can also make tremendous social and political impact, and that is what distinguishes Fela's art from perhaps any other.
I really appreciate that you bring that up, because when I was talking about the film A Quiet Monday, it's making me think about what happened last week in Onitsha with the closure of the markets because of the refusal to not come out on Monday as the governor had ordered the marketers there. But the film for me was the first time it truly captured the emotional and human cost of this sit at home on Monday orders, and I think we can report on it. We can see
it's called A
Quiet Monday. Yes, it's by the director that we were speaking about earlier. Yes, and those type of art, which is not touring the cinemas, which is not making blockbuster 1 billion, which is not loud, is what is important. Absolutely. And this day styles talks about artists that carry Fela's blueprint in sound, stance, and spirit. And I think the spirit of art is not just to cross 1 billion streams or 1 billion naira.
Necessarily.
It's also to tell the true story of our current, our reality, and it's also to archive our history properly for the world to see. And I appreciate that we have small filmmakers and small artists who are carrying that torch forward. Absolutely.
We can't celebrate Fela enough. This is his moment.
Yes.
Almost 29 years after after his passing.
Yes.
And I think this speaks to his greatness. You mentioned Professor Lanio's book.
Yeah.
Dr. Shola Lorion's book is also one of the things that people should, when you are talking about, the essence of Fela. And this is how you appreciate greatness, when others are studying your art, studying your personality, your persona, and things like that. But I mean, it's well celebrated, well deserved, and I see that Davido is also with the family over there in Los Angeles, in celebrating it.
That's a
We
great
didn't
one.
have time for Sunday Punch. It would have been nice to look at the fraud and conspiracy. Ex-Governor Sylvia may be arraigned in absentia. That's the banner headline, for on the cover of Sunday Punch. And it says, EFCC wastes trial months after declaring Sylvia wanted. Interpol intensifies hunt for ex-minister. Just a few seconds, KK. Sadly, at a time that, that January, February is so important, at this point in the history of Nigeria, Murtala Mohammed will be 50 years this month that he passed.
Yeah.
The first coup in 1966, was also 50 years. But here we are back, to cool this discourse in Nigeria, almost 27 years after unbroken democracy. Is this where we should be?
Okay, just quickly, let me just take the opportunity to just reiterate this caution, given by the veteran journalist, veteran of judicial reporting, Richard Akinola, that journalists in reporting this matter should be very careful. Because of our experience. Reporting matters of court is not the realm where you speculate or whatever. The thing is that people should just get the facts, and report it, and as much as possible to cross-check, officially, So a good story is not something that you just make, a media feast, because of the implications. And finally, too, that we should also be wary of media trial. Nobody is can be called a criminal by law on the he or she is on the court says so. So that in the coming days, you can imagine that a lot of stories will come that journalists should be very careful and very professional the way they report it. So that caution by Richard Akinola is very, very, very important. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a veteran of judicial reporting.
Yes.
Great man.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, KK.
Thank you.
We appreciate, as always, your insight.
Thank you very much.
All right, that brings us to the end of the morning show today. Thank you for watching, and do stay safe. I'm Steve Ayorinde.
Well, I'm Adesu Agiwa-Osage, and from our entire team here in Lagos, Nigeria, enjoy the rest of your morning and, of course, the rest of your day. Goodbye.